Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition and the new clarification from Wizards of the Coast in a web article that creates a new canon history for the Drow and for Drizzt Do'Urden. So previously, it was understood if you had bothered to read like 3,000 pages of material written by R.A. Salvatore on Drizzt Do'Urden, the people who had that, the people who have done that really don't know anything about Drow, right? They don't really know anything about Drizzt Do'Urden. The real history of Drizzt Do'Urden is clarified in a 3-page web article put out by Wizards of the Coast. So nobody really needs to read all that old stuff, because it really does. If you read 3,000 pages of R.A. Salvatore about Drizzt Do'Urden and the Drow, you really won't know anything real or canon about Drizzt Do'Urden. So, you can replace all those novels with a new, better understanding of the real canon history of the Drow. Web article, over 3,000 pages of novels, much shorter to read, and when you're done, you're going to have a much better understanding of Drizzt Do'Urden and the Drow than you would ever have gotten from reading it from the source material, R.A. Salvatore. Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition design team is doing some very powerful work, right? In one article, they made it completely unnecessary to read any of the Drizzt books, right? Because anybody who bothers reading 3,000 pages of R.A. Salvatore's material really won't have any idea of who or what Drizzt Do'Urden is. In fact, they will have some incredibly wrong ideas about who and what Drizzt Do'Urden is, right? So 5th edition is, Dungeons & Dragons design team. The 5th edition team is just paving the road for a new understanding of the Drow and for Drizzt Do'Urden. So let's look at the last of the 3 sub-heritages of the Drow people, okay? So we used to think that the Drow were one group, right? That they were one people, right? They're not. They're 3 distinct people. They're the Aven Drow, who have innate integrity. And there's the Loren Drow, who is the second group of Drows, which makes the majority of all Drows rejected Lolth. Only a small minority group of Drows follow Lolth. When it comes to Drows, they're not really down with Lolth. Not at all, right? Only a minority of Drows really like Lolth. And the majority of Drow totally against Lolth. That's the new understanding, right? All right, so who is that last group who unlike the Loren Drow, were not able to remain untainted by Lolth's corruption? And who is that last group who, unlike the Aven Drow, who had innate integrity that allowed them to easily reject Lolth? The last group is called the Udadrow. They live in Menzoberranzan, okay, the Underdark, and they're all totally down with Lolth. They really like Lolth. They're very loyal to Lolth, and they live in the Underdark, okay? And they are Lolth loyals, right? And their home is Menzoberranzan. Now, the new understanding, so the Udadrow are the only real Drow who follow Lolth and do what Lolth asks. They are the faithful of Lolth, okay? Because the reality is the vast majority of Drow don't like Lolth. Never did, right? Rejected her from the base, right? And now we understand that only a small portion of the Drow ever were down with Lolth, okay? All right, so Drizzt Do'Urden is a Udadrow that rejected Lolth. But by rejecting Lolth, all he did was make himself a common Drow. By rejecting Lolth, Drizzt, and this was specified by Wizards of the Coast, is not uncommon. He's common. So the common Drow reject Lolth, and the uncommon Drow accept Lolth. The uncommon Drow are now the Udadrow, right? So now we know. There you go. And that's the Udadrow. The Udadrow are the third of the 3 sub-heritages for the Drow. We have the Aven Drow, an incredibly special people who have innate integrity, right? Now, I think it's going to be really exciting when we get to hear mechanically what innate integrity is. It's going to make Paladins really good. And then, in addition to that, we know about the Loren Drow, a really unusual type of elf who likes to live in nature and live in verdant places where lots of things are green. The design team, 5th edition design team, brought that forward. A new type of elf that likes verdant green places that have lots of plants. It's pretty different. And then last is the Udadrow, who we now understand are not really like most Drow at all. Most Drow don't like Lolth, right? Also, I think there were a lot of other types of Drow, and they also didn't like Lolth. So the Aven Drow and the Lauren Drow are a lot like all the other elves that were around before we had the Udadrow, the Lauren Drow, and the Aven Drow. But it's all super clear now, and I highly encourage you to read the article, and then you don't ever need to read a single page of those 3,000 R.A. Salvatore pages that will give you nothing but an incredibly skewed wrong view of who Drizzt Do'Urden is. Fortunately, the 5th edition design team has saved everybody from a lot of reading. There you go. That's my opinion. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.